All right, let's jump right into this. We hear the word avatar all the time, right? I mean, we've all seen the majestic artwork and we know the epic stories of divine figures like Lord Krishna or Lord Rama appearing on Earth. But what's the actual profound philosophical truth behind those mythological stories? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today we're going on a deep dive into the Bhagwad Gita to uncover the actual mechanics of the divine descent. We're going to completely strip away all those common assumptions and look directly at the source code of this ancient text to figure out what an avatar absolutely, truly is.
So it's kind of the ultimate paradox, isn't it? The Gita clearly states that God is unborn, completely indestructible, and omnipresent. So if the divine is literally already everywhere and can't be created or destroyed, how exactly does God take birth? I mean, does God go through the exact same biological process that you and I do? No way, right? But honestly, challenging our literal, everyday understanding of birth is the absolute only way to unlock this core mystery of the Gita.
To answer that, let's hit Section 1, Birth versus Divine Manifestation. This is a massive cosmic shift in how we think.
If we break down the Sanskrit, avatar comes from the roots ava and tree, which together mean to descend or to manifest. But here is the absolute crucial point. An omnipresent God doesn't just, pack a bag and travel through space to get to Earth. Because, God is already everywhere. Instead, the divine projects a form using what the text calls yoga maya, or divine illusion. Think of it like this. Imagine you're having a really, really vivid dream. You, as the dreamer, can suddenly project a version of yourself right inside that dream. You didn't physically travel anywhere at all. You simply manifested an expression of yourself inside your own creation. That is exactly how the avatar operates.
And Krishna puts this perfectly in chapter 4, verse 6. He says, "Although I am unborn and indestructible, I manifest through my own yoga maya." This directly resolves the paradox we were talking about earlier. It's not a contradiction at all. He remains the indestructible Lord of all beings, for sure, but by taking control of his own cosmic nature, he brings forth a recognizable form. So it's not a biological birth, it's a deliberate divine projection.
Which naturally leads us to Section 2. When does God manifest? What is the cosmic trigger here?
The answer to that is in one of the most famous verses of the entire text, chapter 4, verse 7. Krishna tells Arjuna, whenever there is a decline in Dharma and an increase in adharma, I manifest myself. So it's not just random. The avatar doesn't just pop up for the sake of it. There are very specific cosmic conditions required for this appearance to trigger, and those conditions rely completely on the balance between Dharma and adharma.
Actually, let's pause here a second. We really need to critically redefine what Dharma means, because it gets so misunderstood today. Dharma does not mean a specific sect or a modern organized religion. In the Gita, Dharma is the cosmic order. It's the fundamental law that balances the individual, society, and the universe. We're talking truth, justice, compassion, nonviolence, and duty. When truth is totally replaced by lies, when compassion gives way to cruelty, and duty is replaced by pure selfishness, that is a decline in Dharma. And that right there is the trigger.
So once that cosmic alarm is tripped, what are they here to do? Let's look at Section 3, the 3 divine objectives, or the avatar's mission.
According to chapter 4, verse 8, there are 3 primary pillars. First up, protect the righteous. And by righteous, the text is talking about the seekers of truth and justice. Second, destroy wickedness. Now listen closely to this part, because the source material points out something so fascinating. Destroying wickedness isn't just about fighting bad guys. Figures like Ravana or Kamsa weren't just terrible physical people. They were towering, literal symbols of ego, tyranny, and injustice. The avatar destroys the very concept of a dharma that those figures represent. And the third objective? Reestablish dharma, completely restoring that cosmic and social balance we just talked about.
To really grasp the magnitude of this, let's move to Section 4, Jiva versus Avatar, Contrasting Souls. Let's compare our own human existence to the divine.
On the one hand, you've got the jiva, the human soul. We take a literal physical birth. Why? Well, because we're bound by karma. We're basically pulled into this existence by the accumulated weight of our past actions. And our whole aim here is to experience and consume the results of those actions. We're stuck in a cycle. But on the other hand, look at the divine manifestation. The avatar is totally free from karma. They have zero past baggage pulling them into existence. They manifest purely through yoga maya with one single laser-focused aim, universal welfare. We are born out of ignorance and necessity. The avatar manifests out of pure knowledge and compassion to heal and direct. It's a huge difference.
And recognizing that exact difference, it's completely life-changing. Verse 9 tells us, "One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not take birth again." Internalizing this philosophical distinction between human bondage and divine freedom isn't just some intellectual exercise. According to the text, it is the literal key to spiritual liberation. If you truly understand the divine nature of the Avatar's actions, you become free from the cycle of rebirth yourself.
Okay, this brings us to a major narrative climax in our explainer. Section 5, Demons versus Ignorance, the true battlefield. Because the true act of an avatar goes way, way beyond physical warfare. The crucial difference becomes super clear when we contrast these concepts. Yes, avatars slay demons, but killing a physical demon or an unjust ruler, that really only fixes the present. It just stops the immediate physical actors of injustice. But slaying ignorance, wow, that changes the future forever. When Lord Krishna stood on the battlefield, the absolute greatest thing he did wasn't participating in a physical war. The greatest thing he did was delivering the profound knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita to completely remove Arjuna's delusion. Destroying Arjuna's internal ignorance and imparting that eternal knowledge was a far greater act of saving the world than any physical weapon ever could be.
Let's inject a really fascinating perspective from Advaita Vedanta to see how this works mechanically. Think about it almost like an equation. You start with Saguna Ishwara, which is God with attributes, the avatar we can actually see and relate to. You add Maya, that cosmic illusion we discussed earlier, and that equals Nirvana Brahman, the formless, unchangeable, absolute reality. What this brilliant concept shows us is that the formless absolute remains completely unchanged even when the avatar appears in the physical world. The avatar is just the infinite putting on a temporary recognizable mask to communicate with us. Makes sense, right?
And because it's a cosmic mechanism, it literally never stops. Now, you've probably heard of the Dashavatar, the idea that there are only 10 avatars. But the Gita totally dispels the myth of a strictly limited number. The text says Sambhavami Yuge Yuge, manifesting in every age. The divine descent is a continuous promise. Whenever the darkness of adharma prevails, whenever those scales tip just a bit too far, the divine will intervene. It's an ongoing, eternal mechanism of the universe itself.
So, what does all of this ancient cosmic philosophy actually mean for you and me right now? Let's wrap up with Section 6, the Inner Arjuna, Awakening Your Dharma. The absolute greatest teaching of the Gita is that the avatar doesn't just come to fight external wars, they come to awaken the Dharma inside of us. When compassion, truth, and duty start to rise up inside you against your own selfishness and ego, you become a messenger of that divine will. We're all meant to be Arjuna, standing on the battlefield of our daily lives, listening to that divine wisdom to conquer our own internal ignorance. So I'm going to leave you with this thought. If the avatar's ultimate goal is to awaken truth within, what is your battlefield today, and what internal delusions are you waiting to slay? Really think about that. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep seeking the truth.